Every man who has lived long enough eventually learns this truth. A woman doesn't test you to hurt you, she tests you to reveal you. Not your muscles, not your charm, not your words. But your center, your emotional strength, your patience, your self-respect. Most men misunderstand these moments. They panic. They overreact. They rush to explain themselves or fight for approval. And in doing so, they fail the very test that could have shown her you're the kind of man she can trust. A seasoned man sees these tests differently. He doesn't see drama, he sees information. He doesn't see disrespect, he sees emotional truth. He doesn't see a problem, he sees an opportunity to show his composure, his boundaries, and his leadership. Because the way you respond when she challenges you reveals whether you are a man guided by emotion or a man guided by principles. And women always feel the difference. Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where lessons about love will help you better understand this complex emotion. In today's video, we will learn together about 7 things to do when a woman is testing you. These are things that can change the way you perceive love in life. Be prepared because the secrets and insights you are about to discover may make you look back at yourself and the relationships around you. Before starting, find a quiet space, put on your headphones and relax. Let your mind completely immerse in these shares and enjoy every wonderful moment. Are you ready to discover new things about love? Let's start this journey with us right now. Number 1. Stay completely calm, the foundation of a high-value man. When a woman tests you, the first and most important thing you must master is your calm. A man's calmness is not just a behavior, it is a message. It tells her everything she needs to know about your emotional strength, your self-control, and your masculine identity. Because when a woman tests you, she isn't trying to break you. She's trying to read you. She wants to see what kind of man you really are beneath the surface. Most men fail this moment. They react impulsively. They raise their voice. They panic. They get defensive. They try too hard to prove themselves. All of these reactions reveal a lack of emotional grounding. And nothing turns a woman off faster than a man who cannot control his own inner world. A seasoned man, however, a man who has lived long enough to understand female psychology, knows that staying calm is not a luxury. It is a requirement. Women are naturally emotional creatures. They feel deeply, anticipate strongly, and react instinctively. When she tests you, she's not looking for a man who competes with her emotions. She's looking for a man who can stabilize them. Stoic calmness sends her a silent but powerful message. I don't lose myself because of pressure. I remain the same man in every situation. This is masculine strength at its purest form. Staying calm doesn't mean staying passive. It doesn't mean allowing disrespect or ignoring what's happening. It simply means you refuse to let emotions take the steering wheel. You respond with clarity instead of chaos. You observe instead of explode. You breathe instead of break. When you remain calm, several things happen inside her mind. 1. She feels emotionally safe. A calm man gives her the stability that her emotions often lack. When he doesn't overreact, she relaxes. 2. She respects you more. A man who cannot be shaken easily earns respect. And respect is the foundation of attraction. 3. She realizes you're not insecure. Most emotional reactions come from fear, fear of losing her, fear of not being enough, fear of rejection. Calmness shows confidence. 4. She becomes more feminine around you. When you stay grounded, she naturally softens. She doesn't need to be defensive or overpowering. 5. She sees that you are different from other men. Most men crumble under pressure. A calm man stands out immediately. Your calmness is your armor. It protects you from unnecessary arguments, emotional traps, and impulsive mistakes. But more importantly, it shows her that you are a man of substance. A man who cannot be controlled by moods, reactions, or emotional spikes. In Stoic love, calmness is the first test of masculinity. It is the quiet power that separates boys from men. And when she tests you, the man who remains calm is the man she ultimately trusts. Number 2. Respond with actions, not arguments, the quiet power of masculine proof. One of the greatest mistakes men make when a woman tests them is trying to explain themselves into acceptance. They fall into the trap of arguing, defending, over-talking, or proving something with words alone. But a seasoned man, a man who has lived, loved, and learned, knows that when a woman tests you, it is not your explanations she is evaluating. It is your consistency, your behavior, your inner alignment. Women are emotional beings, but they are highly intuitive. They listen to words, yes, but they trust patterns. They watch how your behavior aligns with your intentions. They observe how you carry yourself when challenged. They pay more attention to your actions than to your promises. When she tests you, she isn't asking for a debate. She's asking for proof. Most men respond with emotional arguments. I didn't mean it like that. You're misunderstanding. Why are you upset? You're making a big deal out of nothing. These reactions only make her push further. Not because she wants to argue, but because she can sense weakness behind your need to defend yourself. A man who argues reveals insecurity. A man who explains too much reveals uncertainty. A man who reacts emotionally reveals instability. But a man who leads with actions rather than arguments communicates a deeper truth. I don't talk about who I am. I show who I am. This is masculine clarity. When she pulls away slightly to see how you react, you don't chase, you remain consistent. When she questions your intentions, you don't give her a monologue, you let your behavior answer. When she becomes distant to test your confidence, you don't panic, you stay solid and present. A woman respects a man whose actions never contradict his energy. Here's why responding with actions is so powerful. 1. It signals maturity. Words are the tools of boys. Actions are the language of men. She feels the difference instantly. 2. It stabilizes her emotions. Arguments heighten tension. Behavior creates clarity. Clarity calms her. 3. It prevents escalation. Most conflicts start from misunderstandings fueled by emotional reactions. Action-based responses dissolve confusion before it grows. 4. It reinforces your boundaries. When you stop fighting verbally and start living your truth through action, she sees exactly where you stand. 5. It shows self-respect. A man who doesn't beg to be understood is a man who respects himself. And women are deeply attracted to men who value their own dignity. Stoic masculinity teaches us this. Do not explain who you are. Embody who you are. When she tests you, she doesn't want a lawyer defending his case. She wants a man who is consistent enough that explanations become unnecessary. In love, as in life, your actions are your authority. And the man who leads with action, not argument, becomes the man a woman trusts, respects, and ultimately chooses. Love is not only about happy moments, but also about challenges that help us realize our inner strength. It is through difficulties that we learn patience, tolerance, and how to love without losing ourselves. This is also the reason why I share stories here, so that you can find calmness and wisdom in your journey of love. If you feel these words touch you, please take a second to click like to spread this message. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click subscribe with the notification bell, to always be the first to receive new shares. Don't forget to leave a comment below, share your feelings or a lesson you learned after listening to this story. Each line you share is a way for us to connect and accompany each other. Now, get ready, because the next part will bring you even deeper insights. Number 3. Hold your ground. A man without principles cannot be respected. When a woman tests you, one of the first things she unconsciously examines is whether you have principles, real, solid, non-negotiable values that shape how you live and how you love. A woman may be attracted to your charm, your confidence, your appearance, but she respects you because of your standards. And without respect, no attraction will survive. Most men crumble the moment a woman challenges them. They bend their boundaries. They abandon their values. They change their behavior just to keep her happy. They trade self-respect for approval, and then wonder why she loses interest. A tested man who folds is not strong, he is replaceable. A tested man who stands firm becomes magnetic. You see, when a woman pushes your boundaries or challenges your decisions, she's not trying to dominate you. She's checking one thing. Does he stand for something? Or does he fall for anything? A woman cannot trust a man who bends too easily. She cannot feel safe with a man who has no backbone. She cannot admire a man who has no center. But a man with principles, a man who knows exactly what he will and will not tolerate, becomes someone she instinctively respects. Holding your ground doesn't mean being rigid or aggressive. It doesn't mean dominating her. It doesn't mean being stubborn for no reason. It means simply this. You do not betray yourself to please someone else. When she tests you by questioning your decisions, you don't waver, you explain calmly, then stand firm. When she tests you by giving you attitude, you don't collapse to gain approval, you maintain your standards. When she tests your boundaries, you don't negotiate out of fear, you reinforce them with quiet confidence. A man with principles becomes predictable in the best way. A woman knows exactly where he stands, and that makes her feel secure. Here's why holding your ground is so powerful. 1. It communicates strength. Strength isn't loud. Strength is consistency. A man who stands firm radiates stability. 2. It reassures her emotionally. Contrary to what many men think, women feel more loved and protected with a man who has boundaries, not one who has none. 3. It shows you don't fear losing her. Needing her approval is the quickest path to losing her respect. Standing firm shows you value yourself first. 4. It builds long-term trust. A woman can trust a man who doesn't betray his own values, because she knows he won't betray hers either. 5. It elevates your masculine presence. Masculinity is defined not by aggression but by clarity. Boundaries create clarity. In Stoic love, a man's principles are his compass. They guide his decisions, anchor his emotions, and shape how he responds under pressure. When a woman tests you, she's not trying to break your principles, she's trying to see them. And the moment she realizes that your standards are unshakable, her respect for you deepens, and with it, her attraction. Number 4. Observe before you react, the masculine advantage of emotional intelligence. One of the most powerful skills a man can develop, especially when a woman is testing him, is the ability to observe before reacting. Most men fail not because they are weak, but because they respond too quickly, too emotionally, and too impulsively. They speak before they understand. They react before they think. They defend before they listen. But a seasoned man, a man who has been shaped by life, heartbreak, and self-discipline, he knows that silence is not weakness, it is strategy. Observation is not passiveness, it is power. Women test men emotionally, not logically. They test through tone, distance, attitude, or small shifts in behavior. And these tests are not meant to destroy you, they are meant to reveal you. If you react instantly, you fail the test. If you observe, you rise above it. Observation allows you to understand what she's truly communicating beneath the surface. Is she feeling insecure? Is she seeking reassurance? Is she protecting her pride? Is she challenging your confidence? Is she seeing if you can handle her emotions? Is she simply overwhelmed and projecting? A woman's behavior is layered, and only a man who watches closely can understand the message beneath the moment. A boy reacts emotionally. A man observes patiently. This principle is deeply Stoic. We are not disturbed by events, but by our interpretations of them. When she tests you, through silence, sarcasm, jealousy, or coldness, you must not make assumptions. You must observe her body language, her tone, her timing, her intention, the context, the shift from her usual behavior. She wants to see whether you can read her, not just hear her. Whether you can understand her, not just respond to her. Because here's what happens when you observe instead of react. 1. You take control of the emotional frame. When you react, you enter her emotional world. When you observe, she enters yours. 2. You avoid unnecessary conflict. Most arguments start from misunderstanding, not malice. 3. You gain clarity. You cannot respond intelligently to something you have not fully understood. 4. You show maturity. Patience is a sign of emotional strength, and women deeply respect it. 5. You shift from emotional to rational leadership. She may feel the storm, but you become the calm center of it. Observation is masculine mindfulness. It gives you insight. It gives you advantage. It gives you control, of yourself first, then of the situation. A wise man knows this. A woman does not need a man who reacts to every emotion she feels. She needs a man who can hold space for both her feelings and his own. When you observe before reacting, you show her that you are not controlled by her tests, you are guided by your own discipline. And that is the essence of Stoic masculinity. Clarity before response. Presence before judgment. Observation before action. At this point, you may have seen yourself in the stories above, sometimes weak, sometimes strong, and sometimes not knowing what to do in love. But it is those moments that make us real and worthy of respect. If you feel the same, please click like to let me know you are here, accompanying me. And if you haven't clicked subscribe yet, don't hesitate, because every day I will share more stories and new lessons, to help you have a calmer view of love. Now, let's move on to the final part, where we will touch on deeper things. Number 5. Show emotional stability, the silent magnetism of a grounded man. When a woman tests you, she isn't looking for perfection. She isn't looking for a man who never feels anything. She's looking for a man who can hold himself together when emotions rise. Emotional stability is one of the most potent forms of masculine energy, calm, steady, grounded, unshakable. It is the quiet power that separates the men she dates, from the men she trusts. Most men lose themselves the moment tension appears. They get jealous. They become defensive. They raise their voice. They shut down. They overreact or withdraw completely. But all of these responses communicate the same truth. My emotions control me. A woman cannot feel safe with a man who cannot regulate himself. Because if he cannot control his own emotions, how could he ever protect hers? A tested woman wants to feel the weight of your presence, not the weight of your instability. Emotional stability doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means your feelings don't dictate your behavior. It means you remain the same man, calm, present, rational, even when the situation becomes emotionally charged. When she gives you attitude, you don't absorb it. You don't amplify it. You simply stay steady. When she becomes distant, you don't chase desperately. You don't panic. You give her space with confidence. When she becomes jealous, you don't lecture or mock her. You reassure calmly, without overcompensating. When she tests you through coldness or sarcasm, you don't throw it back at her. You stay grounded, making it clear that you won't be dragged into emotional chaos. A woman will push a man emotionally to see if he breaks, not because she wants him broken, but because she wants him stronger than the moment. Here's what emotional stability signals to her. 1. You are a man she can rely on. When life gets heavy, she knows you won't crumble. 2. You are not insecure. Insecurity is the root of jealousy, anger, and emotional volatility. Stability shows self-worth. 3. You are in control of the relationship frame. The emotionally grounded partner sets the tone for the connection. 4. You can protect her emotionally. If you can soothe yourself, you can soothe her. 5. You are masculine in the deepest sense. Masculinity is not dominance, it is emotional leadership. Emotional stability is also magnetic. A woman's nature is expressive, fluid, unpredictable at times. She needs a man who can balance her, not mirror her turbulence. Your calm gives her permission to relax. Your steadiness helps her soften. Your presence creates emotional safety. A wise man knows that the strongest man in the room is the one who controls himself, not others. When she tests you, your ability to remain emotionally stable tells her everything she needs to know. You are not a boy reacting. You are a man leading. And in the world of love and attraction, emotional stability is not just attractive. It is irresistible. Number 6. Led with gentle confidence, the quiet strength women trust. When a woman tests you, what she's truly trying to understand is whether you can lead, not in a controlling way, not in a dominant way, but in a calm, steady, masculine way that gives her emotional direction. Women don't follow men who shout the loudest. They follow men who move with purpose. They trust men whose presence feels like clarity, not confusion. Gentle leadership is one of the rarest masculine traits. It is power without aggression. Confidence without arrogance. Direction without force. Strength without noise. Most men, when tested, do one of two things. They submit, losing themselves to her moods, becoming passive, overly agreeable, desperate for approval. Or they resist aggressively, trying to dominate the situation. Raising their voice, asserting control, or becoming emotionally rigid. But neither of these responses reflects true masculinity. A seasoned man, a man who has lived long enough to understand feminine psychology, knows that leadership is not something you declare. It's something you project. It's something you embody. When she gets emotional, you don't escalate it. You guide it back to calm. When she becomes distant, you don't panic. You stay present and steady. When she challenges your decisions, you don't collapse. You explain simply, then hold your direction. When she tests your confidence, you don't prove it with words. You prove it through self-assured behavior. Gentle confidence tells her, I can lead without overpowering you. I can guide without controlling you. And that is the kind of man women feel safe around. Here's why leadership during her tests is so powerful. 1. It gives her emotional stability. Women naturally seek emotional grounding. When you lead calmly, her nervous system relaxes. She feels protected, not pressured. 2. It shows confidence without insecurity. A man who leads is a man who isn't afraid of being wrong. He trusts his direction. 3. It turns tension into connection. Instead of letting a test become conflict, your leadership transforms it into understanding. She sees you can navigate emotional storms without losing yourself. 4. It makes her more feminine around you. When a man steps into leadership, a woman naturally softens into her feminine energy. She becomes more trusting, vulnerable, affectionate. 5. It reveals your emotional intelligence. Women can sense when a man leads with ego versus when he leads with maturity. Gentle leadership proves the latter. Leadership doesn't mean you control her decisions, it means you guide the tone of the relationship. You set a standard of calm communication, emotional safety, and mutual respect. A man who can lead during peace is average. A man who can lead during emotional tension is exceptional. When she tests you, she's not looking for a commander. She's looking for a man who can hold direction. The kind of man who makes her feel safe enough to follow. And the truth is simple. A woman will follow a man whose leadership comes from strength, not fear. From clarity, not domination. From presence, not pressure. That is gentle masculine leadership. And that is the man she ultimately respects. Number 7. Protect your value, never beg, never chase, never lose yourself. The final and most crucial principle when a woman tests you is this. Never compromise your self-worth to win her approval. A man who begs, chases, or sacrifices his dignity is a man who loses long before she ever chooses. Women test men not to break them, but to reveal them. And nothing reveals a man's inner strength faster than how he behaves when he feels the risk of losing her. Most men fold instantly. They start over-explaining. They start over-texting. They start proving, pleading, performing. They put her on a pedestal and place themselves beneath it. But nothing repels a woman more powerfully than a man who abandons his value for validation. You must understand this truth deeply. A woman cannot love a man she does not respect. And she cannot respect a man who does not respect himself. Protecting your value means you refuse to participate in anything that diminishes you, not out of arrogance, but out of self-awareness. When she tests you with distance, you don't chase. When she tests you with attitude, you don't crumble. When she tests your confidence, you don't crack. Your message to her, spoken through your behavior, is simple and powerful. I want you, but I don't need you. This is the energy of a man who knows who he is. Protecting your value doesn't mean ignoring her or acting cold. It means you hold your standards. You expect respect. You avoid emotional desperation. You maintain your direction. You don't tolerate disrespect. You're willing to walk away if necessary. Walking away is the ultimate demonstration of value, not because you want to leave, but because you refuse to stay where you are not honored. Here's why protecting your value is essential during her tests. 1. It anchors your masculinity. A man who knows his worth doesn't collapse under pressure or uncertainty. He stands firm. 2. It creates healthy attraction. Women are drawn to men who value themselves. It signals strength, independence, and emotional maturity. 3. It sets the tone for the relationship. When you show self-respect, you teach her how to treat you. Relationships mirror the standards you enforce. 4. It prevents resentment. Men who abandon their value end up resenting the woman they did it for. Protecting yourself prevents emotional imbalance. 5. It earns her admiration. A woman admires a man who refuses to lose himself for love. She respects a man who can love deeply without sacrificing his identity. Stoic masculinity is not about indifference, it is about self-possession. You remain in control of your emotions, your decisions, your standards, and your path. A woman's test cannot move you from your center because your center does not depend on her approval. A wise man knows. A woman should enhance your life, not become the reason you abandon yourself. Protect your value. Protect your standards. Protect your identity. Because the moment you lose yourself to keep her, you lose both. Conclusion. In the end, understanding how to respond when a woman tests you is not about learning tricks or strategies. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally earns respect, through his self-control, his principles, and his emotional discipline. A woman's test is not an attack, it is a reflection of her deeper need to feel safe, to feel led, and to feel connected to a man whose presence is stronger than her temporary emotions. Most men fail these tests because they react impulsively, abandon their standards, or lose themselves while trying to please her. But a seasoned man, a man who has walked through fire and learned from life, understands that these moments are opportunities. Opportunities to show stability when she feels uncertain. To show clarity when she feels confused. To show strength when she feels vulnerable. Each of the 7 principles leads to the same truth. A woman cannot trust a man who is easily shaken. She cannot open her heart to someone who collapses under pressure. She cannot respect a man who trades his dignity for her validation. But when you stay calm, act instead of argue, hold your ground, observe before reacting, maintain emotional stability, lead with gentle confidence, and protect your value, you become the kind of man she can rely on. The kind of man she admires. The kind of man she feels safe loving. A wise man never fears a woman's tests. He understands them. He rises above them. He lets them reveal his strength, not his weakness. Because in the end, a woman does not test you to push you away. She tests you to see if you're the man she can truly invite in. Thank you for watching the whole video. I hope that today's sharing about love will bring you new perspectives and help you gain valuable lessons. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your loved ones. I am very grateful for your companionship, and hope that each video will help you get closer to a happy and lasting love. See you in the next videos. Wish you a wonderful and inspired day.